MakingAScene.org brings you Reverb and Depth, how to place sounds in a 3D space. Indie artists often assume their mixes sound small because they lack expensive analog hardware or the prestige of a professional studio. They've been told that gear is the gatekeeper to a pro sound. The actual problem is that everything is standing in the same spot. The vocal, the snare, the guitars, and the keys are all fighting for the same coordinate on a flat two-dimensional plane. Reverb solves this, but it's more than a decorative effect. It's a stream of spatial data that the human brain uses to map the physical world. Your ears analyze how sound waves reflect off surfaces and decay over time. These reflections provide the clues your brain needs to calculate the size of a room, the hardness of the walls, and the distance of the sound source. If you don't engineer this Z-axis depth, the speakers never disappear. The mix stays flat, the vocals lose their intimacy, and the listener never truly enters the world of the song. Building depth begins at the microphone. By adjusting the distance between the source and the mic, you can capture the specific balance of direct sound and natural room ambiance before the mix even starts. Early recordings were bound by reality. Engineers relied on the natural acoustics of halls and theaters, using the room itself to tell the truth about where the musicians were standing. When producers began demanding more control, they moved toward artificial ambiance. They built literal echo chambers, reflective subterranean rooms, to play dry signals back into a space and capture the resulting reflections. This evolved into mechanical solutions like the EMT-140 plate and spring reverbs. These tools favored musicality over physics, using vibrating metal to create lush, dense spaces that made records feel larger than life. This history reveals a core truth. Audio engineering is the practice of bending acoustic environments to a producer's creative will. In a modern mix, you build that perspective by choosing the specific timing of your reverb. Short reverbs, like rooms or chambers, give instruments a physical shape. They place a snare or a vocal on a stage without smearing the clarity of the performance. Long hall reverbs create drama and scale, but they require discipline. Without high-pass and low-pass filtering, these long tails create low-end mud and a harsh high-frequency haze that drowns out the arrangement. To keep a lead element at the front of the stage while still giving it a sense of space, you need pre-delay. Pre-delay creates a gap of silence between the dry sound and the room's first reflections. This gap tricks the brain, letting the dry signal hit the listener first to maintain intimacy, while the delayed response suggests a massive environment stretching behind the performer. Amateur mixes often feel disjointed because producers drop unique reverb plugins directly onto every individual track. This creates 5 or 6 unrelated weather systems that clash with one another. Professionals use a send and return architecture. You route signals from various tracks into a single auxiliary channel set to 100% wet. This unifies instruments into one believable world, preserving the definition of dry sources and significantly reducing your computer's processing load. Using sends and returns moves reverb out of the category of special effect and makes it a structural pillar of the mix architecture. Intelligent plugins like Isotope Neoverb and Sonable Smart Reverb 2 now analyze source material to suggest the best spatial positioning for a track. These content-aware algorithms manage masking across the entire session, organizing depth based on how we actually perceive sound rather than just using mathematical averages. Even with disefficiency, vintage-style plugins like Valhalla Vintage Verb remain essential. They offer a specific musical character and historical color that raw algorithms cannot recreate. These tools accelerate the technical side of the process, but they remain assistants. They provide a starting point, but the final stage is always set by the producer's taste. To map a finished stage, you keep the lead vocal at the front by using dry definition and a clear pre-delay. You place guitars and keys in the midground, using shared rooms or chambers to seat them firmly behind the vocal. You build the back wall of the mix with pads and drones, soaking them in long, filtered tails that provide the final layer of depth. The most important choice you make isn't which preset to load, It's deciding exactly how close the listener should feel to the performance. Check out more great articles and resources on makingascene.org, the place indie artists go to build the new music industry.